I V M.
You're listening to TFG Football.
So once again, it was a case of so close but so far. We were keeping the scoreline 0-0 against Bahrain, and sitting in the press tribune, me and other journalists were keeping an eye on the other game. It was 1-1. So all we needed to do was to not concede for another 3 or 4 minutes, and that would have been it. We would have been in the second round for the first time since forever. Like, in the modern era of the tournament, we've never gone on past the first round of Asian Cup, and it was 3 points between glory and the Blue Tigers. It was 3 points between success and failure, and we had to go on and concede a penalty at that very moment. Kevin is joining me from Mumbai. He is, well, did you sleep last night, man?
Yeah, even after the TV set was off, it was images, Jingle talking, Jingle running, Sunil Chetri dejected. It was just flashing in front of my eyes still. It was so unbelievable. But you have to feel it for every player that was there on the field. I could feel that pain while they were running, but they were just running with nothing left in them. The body had given their all. Bahrain was just at it towards the end, from the beginning till the end. But I don't think we can ask any more from every single player that was there on the field that day. Yeah,
man. But seriously, I think that's what football comes down to, right? After the first round, we were top of the table. After the second round, we were second. And when the group stage is over, we are at the bottom. The one place where we could not be if we wanted to go to the second round, and that's what has happened. And of course, everything came crashing down. It was the end of an era happening in front of our eyes. Constantine, the head coach, announced his resignation at the post-match press conference. And there was a look of defeat as the players left the stadium in Sharjah. Kevin, you've seen Sunil Chetri speak to the press forever. He's one person who looks at everybody in the eye and talks. But he really had his eyes down when he was talking to us. He just could not meet our stare. It was a sense of having let everybody down, and I just wanted to say to him, to everybody, that listen, you've done more than you can ever know. But just the moment got to me. I just couldn't say shit. I just stayed silent, and I think I came back to Dubai, and I just stayed with my eyes open for most of the night, and that's what is happening, man. It's like everything that we have been building out towards has just come crashing down. Getting back to the match, India versus Bahrain, we later learned that Anirudh Thapa had a back issue, and Roland Bojes started. Do you think that played a major part in the Indian midfield just looking like it wasn't there for the first time in this tournament?
Yeah, it was. It's one of the many things that was different from the earlier two games. Firstly, we missed out on us. That was a big blow for us, and that has a psychological disadvantage to us. We have a partnership that was working so fine, and when you shake up the central defense, it always it leads to some sort of misbalance over there, because your midfield in front of you, the central midfield, is the one that is giving the protection, and Anas and Jirin were the one pushing up people. And when you have Salam Ranjit Singh coming in with not too much of experience, it just shows. And then it's because of that, then you can start looking at elsewhere, where was the problem. So I don't think it's Borges coming into the team and that makes a difference. But whole lot was different about this match. At least, looking at how we wanted to hold the ball, how we wanted to free up our wingers, how we wanted to overlap. So it was something different from the previous two games, and it's a culmination. I mean, so many things were not the same, but you can't really point out and say it was one reason that. You can take it back to the previous two games as well. Where we could have the scoreline would have been a different story in the second game. So this wouldn't have been at a stage where we wanted to keep the ball. Obviously, in all three games, we didn't have so much of the ball possession, and that was obvious. But in this game, what we did off the ball, that was more important. I didn't see our players moving bodies up front as soon as we had the ball, and that was one reason that our counters did not work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks different because we were unable to string together 2 or 3 passes. Every time we seemed to have the ball, the Bahrain players were dispossessing us pretty easily. It just seemed like the rhythm was off. Everything was off. Either they were not able to match Bahrain's intensity, or they were too tired. Whatever the reason was, it just looked like they were not up for it tonight. And we spoke to Danny Dagan in the lead up to the match, and he said there's no problem in terms of the fitness or the durability of the players. But you have to think, in terms of the level of football these players were exposed to at Asian Cup and how much it took out of them. After the 2 performances they put on against Thailand and UAE, going up against Bahrain was a physical and mental challenge, because you got to think that even the mental aspect was at play, because I don't know, even Sunil Shetty seemed to be affected by the occasion. The couple of chances he got, he shot wide. Ashik Kurunian just was not anywhere in the game. So many things failed at once, and it has to be something more than just the physical pressure, right? I mean, something collectively went wrong.
You could tell in the second half when there was a 50-50 ball between the Indian players, and there was no calling at all. That is when you saw the cracks showing up, and you could sense that the team is not as as cohesive as we've seen them in the first game. And that was the sign, that this was it's coming, and just that how long could we hold on to?
Exactly. I think the moment the moment you're referring to was a header that was coming towards Subhashis inside the box, and Subhashis cleared it for corner, and Gurpreet was standing right behind him basically and saying like, what the hell, we had no pressure. You didn't need to clear that for corner.
In the midfield, in the midfield we saw Nazari, we saw Pranay Halder coming together. It's just, it's something we see more often in youth football. But that bad look at a moment that we thought, okay, this is not how we should be, because this wasn't how we played in the first 2 games. I don't think there's anything wrong in the way for the game, because it was expected. One team had to win this, and the plan was there. Let them come to us. We can hold on, but I think it just wasn't. It was slightly different from what we played. So many things. It's not one reason. Again, you can't really point out to that penalty. You can't really point out had it been for a little more ball possession. It's something I think we expected, but we just didn't last enough to see off the 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, to be frank, the conversation going towards the game was that, we would not be surprised if Bahrain beat us, but at least UAE will beat Thailand and we will be in the second round. That was and then the UAE just, and I have not seen the game, but I've spoken to a couple of people who were there, and it seems like after 1-1 they just played out the rest of the game passing to each other basically. They were happy to get a draw because they knew that would give both of them a chance to get into the second round. So they played a game of convenience, and it came back to hurt us. So even though the overall performance was bad, some players really put in the effort of their lives. I'm talking about Sandesh Jhingan. I'm talking about Pranay Haldar. Regardless of the penalty, I'm talking about Gurpreet Singh Sandhu, who puts together some superhuman saves, especially in the second half. The defense was doing its job. The defense was just braving the face of the storm. But I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, the penalty doesn't happen. We're talking about Gurpreet Singh Sandhu being one of the best goalkeepers in India of all time, and celebrating India's entry in the second round as the second best team in the group. That's what one moment's mistake changes the game. Like towards the 89th minute, that one-handed parry by Gurpreet literally like had us falling off our chairs. And then it was a ball that Gurpreet should have collected, but he deflected, and that's what led to the ball going to the Bahrainian player, and Pranay Haldar ends up fouling him inside the box. And yeah, we can see it from there. It's a completely collective mistake that led to the goal happening. Right.
Even the back pass controversy, that is when I really felt that it was the end of the game for India. The back pass, which led to the indirect free kick being given inside the box, that really looked like a.
Oh, we shaped that. I thought like that was a lifeline.
That wasn't the right decision from the referee. It was not how it should be, and that really felt like the moment. Okay, this is looking like it's over for India. But somehow, I think this is how, if you want to point out to some of the younger generation, this is what our defense was made of. Just show that the way we defended that free kick. We threw our bodies right up there. That is how we defended. Our lives were put on literally we put on the line over there.
Yeah.
And that could have been the end, but we somehow, 89 minutes of conceding. And I know you have to give credit to Bahrain, irrespective of which country you've been supporting, they were more hungry. And they just, used the substitution so well that at the right moment you had fresh legs being introduced, and they really saw where were the weaknesses that India were showing up, and we were exposed. That led to that goal being conceded.
Yeah. So we will take a break here. Of course, India's journey at Asian Cup has come to an end, but it's not the only thing that has come to an end. It has come Stephen Constantine's 4-year spell as the head coach of Indian national team. That also came to an end last night. We will discuss more about it, and we will hear from both Stephen Constantine and Sunil Shetty, the overall captain of Indian national team. And that'll be there, and we'll sum up our own impressions of the tournament and the journey that Indian football has been on for the last 4 years under a new coach that has done a lot. So all of that on the other side of the break.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on IVM Podcast. If you aren't following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. On Instagram, we've been doing an interesting thing recently. What we're trying to do is whenever a listener is listening, they take a screenshot of what they're listening to, they make a comment, and they tag us on it. And we're reposting that on all of our stories. So, if you want to get on our feed, then please do tag us. And otherwise, if you want to see what other people are listening, then go and check out the Instagram account and you can take a look at that. On the Seen and the Unseen, Amit Verma talks to writer Gyan Prakash about his new book about Indira Gandhi and the emergency. On the Prakati podcast, we have a 2-episode special that demystifies the ongoing economic conflict between the US and China. Last week, we launched a brand new Hindi podcast called Cinemaya. It's hosted by Swati Bakshi, and our first guest is Nandita Das. She discusses her journey as a woman filmmaker in a male-dominated industry. On Varta Lab, Naveen and Akash talk to comedian Nivedita Prakasam and remember their favorite heckling stories. On our Kannada podcast, Thale Arate, the host discuss how the Kannada language and culture is faring on the far side of the world. On Paisa Vaisa, CEO of Edelweiss Asset Management, Radhika Gupta joins Anupam to discuss asset allocation and its importance. And with that, let's continue on with your show.
Welcome back. Let's hear from Sunil Shetty, who spoke to us, and as I said, he just did not want to look us in the eye, which I have never seen him do. Listen to him. Take a listen.
Immediate thoughts? I don't know, Divan. Just gutted, disappointed, angry. I don't think we played the same way that we played the first two games against Thailand and UAE, and it just tells you in this level there is no 95%. You got to go at 100% every game. Although we did defend well, but I think we defended too much. We should have kept the ball more. Sometimes when you just need a draw, this is what happens, and it's something that we learned today. And I just hope that we become stronger from here.
Was it like you guys were going for the draw, or what was it? Playing to win?
No, we weren't. But probably it was there in the back of the mind. I don't know. It wasn't in my mind. When we have a team meeting, we know we had to go, we had to press, and I think as game went by, and the realization hit us that it's 70 minutes, 60 minutes, 0-0, keep it like that. So we defended more deep, and yeah, it's 89 minutes. If that doesn't happen, we would say, great defending India, and you pull up on it's one of those days, man.
So when it was around that mark, what were you thinking? Did it occur to you to sort of call out to the team and tell them to push up?
Everyone was talking to each other.
Yeah.
But you know what? When you allow every cross to come in, there will be desperation, man. How many are going to save? So we needed to have more guts, and it starts from me to keep the ball and to just calm down, because they were desperate. They had two men behind, and if we kept the ball 3-4 passes, we would have been 2 versus 2. We probably didn't think at that time. We just kept defending, and everything wrong that could have happened today happened. The other game 1-1, 19th minute penalty. We learned the hard way now.
Obviously it's a very special tournament for you, but this disappointment must be overshadowing that.
Right now I feel very sad, man. I think with our last two performances, we at least deserve to qualify for the next round, man. I'm being very honest of what I'm saying right now. Probably not today, because in this level, every game has to be 100%. Today we weren't as what we were against UAE and Thailand. That's how you learn, man. That's how it's just sad.
We also saw a lot of your players visibly tired and also showing some signs of fatigue. So
I think it was mental too. If you keep giving the ball, they can keep building on. It's not easy, man. It's not easy to defend 90 minutes. So at some point we had to be brave and keep the ball. We threatened UAE in UAE game. We had more chances than UAE. Today we didn't have much chances. Maybe 1 or 2 half chances. You won't win a game. You won't threaten them, and it was easy for them. You get the ball again. You again attack, and again we have to defend. How many times are we going to defend? And there's something that we learned, and I just hope that we can be a better team after this.
The coach has told us he's stepping down after this game. Did you know this before the game, and what are your thoughts on his tenure as a coach?
We didn't know before the game. I think he spoke to us before he came and spoke to you guys. I think he did really well for the country. If you see the records, if you see the number of boys he has given chances, if you see his graph, he's done really well. And I just want to thank him from me and the whole boys for doing a great job, and I just hope wherever he goes, I will wish him all the luck. Cheers, man.
Thanks, good luck. All the best.
So yeah, I think you realize, like when Sunil was talking, I realized that this was probably his last chance as well. Like Sunil Chhetri will probably not be there next time the Asian Cup comes around, and I don't know, man. It was a heartbreaking moment. He deserves better. Like that's what I thought. Like these players deserve better. These boys, this legend that we have here, who gave it his all, scored 2 great goals. Everybody, it just doesn't work out the way you thought it would, right? I mean, I'm sure Sunil had 100 plans of how to approach the second round. He just didn't get the chance.
But this really feels bad for not just every player that was there part of the camp.
Yeah.
Even being on the bench itself is a big support for the team, and they're just. For once in 4 years, and we're coming here after a gap of almost 8 years.
Yeah.
And this feeling, being so close, and after a great start, it really had everybody's hopes going so high.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a moment. It was brilliant all the way from the start. I think the first 2 games really gave a glimpse of how Indian football has progressed, and that exactly proved, and our hopes were kept high, because because of the way we performed in the two games. It wasn't fluke goals. It wasn't goals that came by a penalty, or it wasn't a marginal victory that we got in the first game. It was an overall outstanding performance that led to our belief that we can make it through the next round.
Yeah.
And that is the bad feeling, because it ends as an anti-climax, where it should have really been climbing our hopes, and really, it doesn't look right. But again, if we say who deserved that game as a winner, it was Bahrain. But we will keep talking, about Sunil Chhetri, his humility, his perseverance, his determination to get that one goal in. We saw how he put it heart out, even though he didn't wear the captain's armband throughout. But you saw he was the leader on the field. You see him turn around to his back line, pumps everybody up, and that is how we got in this pressing game, just lighting up every moment that he was running with the ball. Udant, these players you will think about what will happen if you don't play with Chhetri. The moment that we saw brilliance of, it was because of Sunil Chhetri's move. He would initiate, and once he had the ball, you knew everybody knows their job well.
Yeah.
This won't happen again soon.
Without that goal, imagine what we're talking about right now. We're talking about Salam Ranjan Singh, a young defender, getting an unexpected chance to play for India in a very high pressure game, and giving such a good account of himself, holding the defense together, holding the fort, adjusting to the situation, and India getting the first clean sheet in a game where they were not likely to get a clean sheet at all. We're talking about Pranay Halder getting the captain's armband as a defensive midfielder with extra responsibility and putting on one of the shows of his life. We're talking about Sandesh Jhingan, who was weeping while watching India lose to Bahrain in 2011 on the same freaking damn day, 14th January 2011, and vowing he would avenge his defeat. Going out there, putting his life's best work and getting a clean sheet. And Gurpreet Singh Sandhu with one-handed saves and parries and low dives throughout the game, keeping the score 0-0 and getting India to the second round. It would have been we would look at these three games that showed us the best of every single department that we had. The midfield against UAE, the wings against Thailand, our attackers, our defense against Bahrain. Without that one split-second decision that led to the penalty, we are talking about something that sums up the very best of Indian football. But of course, that's not what happened. Stephen Constantine was taken to the press, and unexpectedly he announced his resignation. And I don't know, man. I don't have words. Let's just throw it to that. Let's just have everybody be a part of that historic moment when we literally saw an era coming to an end here at Sharjah Stadium in UAE.
So obviously it was a bit of disappointment to lose with a 90th minute penalty. The boys are sick, as you can imagine. And I'm just, obviously disappointed for them. They gave everything in these last three games. We perhaps didn't create enough chances as we did in the previous two games. That's it. We go home.
Okay, please, Mike, please.
Hello, hi coach. Coach, what was the thought behind putting Rowley Borges instead of Anil Thapa? Did you think that decision backfired?
No, I don't think it backfired. Borges is probably one of the best passers of the ball in India. When he gets on the ball, he can create things in terms of getting the ball out to them and getting the ball out to Holly. Obviously, that didn't go as planned. Also, Thapa had a back injury. Thapa had wasn't a major. That wasn't the main reason we left him out. We just felt he looked a little tired. He did have a back problem, and we thought, boy, use fresh legs. Papa played the last 3 games in a row. I don't think he can fight it. We just didn't win.
Okay, please introduce yourself and
Really?
Can you believe no problem?
Yes, I can. The whistle went. Thailand drew 1-1 in the other group, so we're out. It's stark reality. I mean, obviously, I don't think we deserved it. We came here to try and qualify from the group, and the boys gave absolutely everything. I think overall, it's more than people expected. Back home, I'm pretty sure that nobody expected us to qualify for the Asian Cup in 2015. And the boys, for me, have exceeded expectations. They've done really well. Unlucky we didn't score 3 or 4 against UAE. And today, I'm lucky that we couldn't hold out for another 3 or 4 minutes. That's football.
Okay.
Coach, good evening. I'm Srikanth from Sportskeeda. Do you think your assessment of Bahrain was completely off the mark?
Sorry?
Your assessment of Bahrain was completely off the mark.
Off the mark? Why would you say that?
They didn't play well today.
I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Next question, please.
Myself, Anirudh from Oman Observer. Did India look for a draw today actually, or they never showed an intention to win the match?
We didn't intentionally set out for a draw. Obviously, Bahrain started with a lot of energy and looking to get the early goal. And I think as the game wore on, this is maybe a little bit of inexperience on our side. They started defending deeper and deeper and deeper, and in the end we got punished. But I thought we were unlucky. We defended well for 90-something minutes, and to get beat by a penalty is harsh in anybody's eyes. As I said in the beginning, we didn't play for a draw. But this is a very young team. We lack a little bit of experience. And I think as the 70th minute, 75th minute came, and the boys were thinking, okay, another 15 minutes we can hold on. Bahrain were playing with 6 forwards and 4 in midfield, so it was tough. But as I said in the beginning of the game, we didn't come here to play for the draw. Things happen in the game. Subconsciously, perhaps some of the players did. But that was never our intent.
Hi Coach, Debayan from ESPN. Commiserations on the result. A 2-part question, if you will. Firstly, if you could reflect on the game, would you have done something differently? And secondly, what would you like the legacy of this Indian performance from this Asian Cup to be?
Would I have done something different? Well, I would have liked Anas not to have gone out in the first minute, obviously with a pulled his hamstring. Look, we've trained very hard for the last 6 months, if you like, preparing for this. And we've prepared for everything. Somebody said, did we prepare well enough? Did we see Bahrain? We saw Bahrain 6 times in the last. We know everything about Bahrain. We know exactly what they were going to do. And, but you have to do your part as well. And I think for the most part, the boys were fantastic. Legacy. Well, I think you guys historically will tell me how many records we've broken in the last 4 years, what this team has achieved. All the players playing in India, the 47 international caps that we've given, the qualifying for the Asian Cup to begin with. there's nobody in this room, besides myself, that thought we could do this. When we first played in Guwahati against Nepal in the pre-qualifiers. So these boys can go home. They gave absolutely everything in every minute of every game, in every training session. You know, they've made history on more than several occasions in my 4 years.
Hi, Coach. Hey, Alaric from Gulf News. What happens to Stephen Constantine after the contract?
Well, I'm glad you raised that point. Stephen Constantine is stepping down after this game. I've been here for 4 years. My objective from day one was to qualify for the Asian Cup. I've done that, and we've broken a few records, as I mentioned earlier. I'm exceptionally proud of the players for everything that they've given. I have to thank the AFF, in particular Mr. Kushal Das, Praful Patel and Mr. Brother Dada, because the support that they have given me in the last 4 years has been huge. I think my cycle is finished. I did what I was asked and quite a bit more. And it's time for me to move on, I think, after 4 years in India. I was going to say that till later.
Okay.
Congratulations first on a remarkable performance overall. I mean, this team had conceded 13 goals in 2011 Asian Cup. From their position to come this far, and in the last 4 years, the progress that the team has made. And now that you have said that this is your last game, so what kind of future do you see for this bunch of boys going ahead?
Look, the last time I was in India was 2002 to 2005, and I left the team and the football country in a better place than it was when I arrived in 2002. 10 years fast forward, 2015 to 2019, they are in a much better place than we were in 2005. We have a crop of young players who I think the future is theirs. They need to qualify for these tournaments on a regular basis if they want to be successful. I think they have the players and the talent pool to do that. And of course, I wish them nothing but the best.
This is the saddest day in your coaching career?
Saddest day? No, I don't think it's the saddest day. It's not a great day, if I'm honest. It's my wife's birthday, so she's going to be pretty upset. But look, these things happen in football. Sometimes you don't get what you deserve in football and in life. It's one of those things. I don't think we did enough today to win the game. Obviously, I'm sad to be leaving the players and the boys. They have been fantastic for me, every single one of them. Even the guys that didn't make the final squad. And it's time to move on. I mean, I haven't lived in my own house for 6 years. I see my daughters, 3 of them, every 3 months, 4 months. And
okay. And as the last question.
Coach, way back in 2015, I was there for your first game, and today, as you mentioned, it's your last. It's been an emotional ride, sort of, for you and this bunch of players. Today, what is that one thing you want to tell this bunch of players?
That if they believe hard enough, they can. I mean, excuse me.
Thank you, Coach.
So there you have it. When the last moment came, Stephen Constantine's words failed him. He almost broke down. He controlled himself. But yeah, he did not finish his last sentence as the Indian national team head coach. So I don't know. Is this a symbolic? Is this symbolic? Do you think that his last press conference as the Indian coach finished with an unfinished sentence. It seems like his entire coaching spell, like the second innings that he had with the Indian national team over 4 years, that feels like an unfinished sentence as well. That one that showed so much promise but did not fulfill its potential at the biggest stage of all.
Well, you feel bad for everybody. It's not just the players, it's the staff, and especially the coach. You can feel the emotions behind those words. And the emotion really showed out after the first game. You already saw it up close when Constantine really, put out his heart saying he really does not think that all the criticism that was directed against him, he was in the right light. And it shows, everybody's human in the end. You talk about sport and emotions are connected. You keep you bonded for so long with your team. And it just leads to, it's a chain reaction of emotion just showing out. Jingan, Constantine, it gets the better of everybody because that close we were to revive Indian football. I think it could have been a big change that we've seen the rise of Indian football in the past years. Keep aside the things that we talk about that affect from the administration side. Just purely think about the football team. Just purely think about the players. The real change has been getting such a young squad into it's such a big stage and going so close, going head to head, toe to toe with big giants. What were the predictions that we had before we started? It could have been a one-way traffic even for Thailand, but no, it wasn't. UAE must have got a shock of their life when they really faced this Indian team. So, firstly, we've not been known at the continental level for being a strong side. Obviously, even the ranking does not prove that we are one of the better sides. But the game that we played, it really showed everybody that we're not really here for being one of the numbers in the tournament. We are here to do something. We are here to prove a point. And it's emotional in the end. And it's fair to say that it does get the better of everybody once it's all over. Because you realize how close you are. It's not that this is what we had expected from the start because the belief was there. Right. Just imagine, had it not been for those 4 chances that we had in the first half of the UAE game, it could have been a different story if that turned out to draw. It could have been a different story if had Anas been on the field. It could have been a different story if Papa would have been playing instead of Borges. It's one of the many things that didn't work in our favor. But again, sport is, for the one who can endure, the one who is durable for a longer time. 1 second more and you have a winner. And that just showed that we were that close, just moments away.
I don't know, man. I'll tell you exactly what was going through my mind about 5 minutes before we conceded. I was thinking like, okay, if this goes 0-0, we're the second best team in the group, so we will be facing off with the second best team in the Group C, which more likely will be China. And I was thinking, okay, we got lucky when we played against them in the friendly, and they'll be stronger this time. But maybe there is a chance that we might beat them. We might hold them off like we held off Bahrain and get into penalties and somehow push through with some edgy winner and get into the quarterfinals. And I was thinking, okay, I'll have to reorganize my entire travel plan. I'll have to extend my stay. I'll have to book a later flight. And yeah, the exact thing that I thought it will be the best 20 grand I will ever spend in my life if I get to see India play in the quarterfinals. And then that moment comes and India concede and everything comes crashing down. Everything must go. That's basically what we are left with. Stephen Constantine, I know a lot of people go after him for not picking this player or that player. I don't know what any player would have done better at this stage, because I think playing UAE and playing Bahrain more than anything, what it has showed is that it's way more intense than what we see in I-League or ISL, and we need much more emphasis on off-the-ball players and players with higher work rate than flashy scorers to make it work out here. And I think that would be one of the, even though we are going away as the bottom team from Group A, the performance that we have put on will remain as a testament that Stephen Constantine's theory was correct, that to succeed you need a certain kind of place, and that may mean leaving the best, the highest Indian scorer in ISL or whatever back home, just because the game, there are levels to this game. The way we play out here is going to be very different.
You have to understand, it's not a day's work. It's not a month's or a camp's work that leads to this tournament. We had to qualify for that.
Yeah.
You can imagine how difficult it was. Everybody's forgotten the games that we've gone through. Kyrgyz Republic, those two games, contrasting difference, and something that we did not do in those qualifiers. We proved. We surprised everybody. I think I myself was surprised the way India played. We've not seen this kind of gameplay from India for a long time, where we go head on to challenges, and we really almost, it can be just kept saying almost we got them, but it's just the time that he was there. So many changes Constantine got into the team. We're talking about scientific changes. We're talking about physical aspect brought into the game. Players like Pranay Haldar, you can expect them to go all out, probably get cards, and that is not how he played. He played with a calm mind. We saw Subhashis Bose getting in play. He was just dribbling past the advancing striker as if he was not there.
Yeah.
We're talking about changes in the players, the way we approach game. There was wing play, there was breaking into counter attacks. This was vast difference from the time we saw Constantine take charge. It was gradual, but I think this is where it all ended. We really saw the potential that can be brought out from an Indian team, and it was a process that we saw evolve over time, and we'll see what we've led to. The second youngest side to be brought into this tournament. Who could have imagined? Somebody like Sunil Chetri, you had so many 30-plus players at the time when Constantine took charge. Do you think we could have lasted that long? I doubt. But this is how how teams are made. Yeah. Over time, picking out, drilling, fine-tuning, and this is. I don't think we could have asked any better from the Indian team that showed out the performances. But somewhere we could have expected small things. Probably a central midfielder that everybody's talking about. Probably that finishing touch that Sunil Chetri had. Someone else could have got that. So we had some over-reliability on Sunil Chetri as well. So that also comes into play. But I think there's nothing to be more proud of than what we saw at the Asian Cup this time.
Just for context, when we played last time, our goal difference was -11 or -13, one of the two. And when Constantine came on, the Asian Cup had just happened and we had failed to qualify. And 4 years later, here we are. We have played in the Asian Cup, and we have a goal difference of 0. Right? We scored 4 goals, conceded 4 goals. We won a match. That's more than we have done in the last 54 years. So I don't care really. I mean, how many criticism he's going to get. Overall, the effect he's had on Indian football is overwhelmingly positive, and I hope the work that he has started, the philosophy he's built his new team with, whoever comes in next takes his work forward and does justice to his legacy. So thank you, Stephen Constantine, from the bottom of my heart. Kevin.
I think it also lays out. It just lays out for somebody to look at as well. The way India was expected to be part of these 3 games was we wouldn't have too much of the ball. I think that exactly was kept in the plan. We didn't have possession. We didn't have too much of the ball. We were chasing the ball most of the time. But again, what you do with that 30% possession that you have, you get in 3-4 goals. Again, all 3 games, no change in possession. We just about 30, 35, 40%. And using that, we could create chances. It wasn't that we just got a marginal victory. It was a convincing victory. It was a convincing first half against UAE. So this can be, playing out as a lesson for some future coaches, probably.
Yeah. So that's the end of our episode. We came here with a lot of hope and dreams, but here, standing under a very harsh Middle Eastern sun on a busy Tuesday afternoon, it's over. Asian dream is over for now. When the World Cup and Asian Cup qualifiers begin in September, we will start again. We will chase that dream that has been taken away from us in UAE again for the next edition, which will probably happen in China or Korea. And that's going to be another long journey, and it's going to have its own heartbreaks. And hopefully we'll be there to bring it all to you, to make you a part of it as we ourselves follow the Blue Tigers as they chase for the highest of achievements. So yeah, I mean, Kevin, just summing up, I just realized food in UAE it all sucks. I didn't realize it until now. I've been here a few weeks. But any final words from you about the whole campaign, us coming out here, and how the boys have put it out there? Anything? So if you are listening to this podcast on YouTube, please remember to like, share, subscribe. On Facebook, leave a like and comment as well. You can catch this on any platform that you like for podcasts, IVM Podcast app, IVM Podcast website, iTunes, Stitcher, yada yada. You know the drill. We'll be back next week with more on Indian football.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance. From stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.
Every week comes a show where 3 people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, a book, and other stuff. Tune in every Monday on the IVM Podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman approves this message. Thank you, Batman.